Hi, welcome everybody. My name is Dennis Brown, and this is my Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. Today, I'm going to share with you 6 core skills that you need in order to become a successful freight broker. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today during the training. Thank you for joining me a little bit early. For those of you that are catching me on replay, hit me up in the comments with hashtag replay. Again, today we had a little bit of a technical issue. Facebook is not being very cooperative. So I'm not able to stream on my Facebook page or my Facebook group. So you're only going to be able to catch us today on YouTube or LinkedIn, but I will have an edited down version, a replay version, and you should be able to view it in other places, but bear with me today. Hope you guys are able to join me for this live because again, today I'm going to share with you 6 core skills to become a successful freight broker. Okay. So I'm going to share those with you. We're going to break them down a little bit. These are very important. I put a lot of thought into this. Here's the notes that I have to go over today. But before we do that, for those of you that are joining me early, we're going to do a quick giveaway. Okay. So I'm not sure how many people are live, but we are going to do a quick giveaway. So here's the agenda. We'll do a giveaway. Then we're going to do the live training, and then we're going to do live Q&A at the end. Okay, so stick around to the end, and I will be doing Q&A. You'll be able to type your questions into the box, and then I'm going to do my absolute best to try to answer those questions. But hold your questions till the end, okay? So between now and then, here's all I need you to do. We're going to do a quick giveaway first. So why don't we start with that? All right, so we've got a bunch of people live so far. So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much. Geez, what do we got here? Yeah, you know what? Let's start out with that. We're only going to get to one giveaway today. So why don't we do this? Hit me up with the city and state that you're logged into, okay? Or logged in from. I've got some people here already. I see are joining us. We've got Holistic Logistics from Kennesaw, Georgia. I'll try to give you a shout out if I have time. Stephen J, welcome. Welcome. Hit me up in the comments with the city and state you're logged in from. I'm in the Buffalo, New York area. To be specific and exact, I'm in Clarence, New York, which is a little suburb outside of Buffalo. Been here, geez, I've been in this house for 12 or 13 years now. I think around 12 years now, but lifelong resident in Western New York. Where are you from? Where are you tuning in from? We usually get people from Canada and all kinds of places in the United States and sometimes South America, sometimes the Ukraine, Australia, Africa, the UK. I mean, we get people from all over the place, India, that are joining us during these live streams. So where are you joining us from? And I'll try to give you a couple of shout outs. Kyler J from Houston, Texas. Also, if this is your first live stream, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. We got Steve from Milwaukee. We've got Pam from McDonough, Georgia. We've got Devin from Markham, Illinois. Kevin from Linden, New Jersey. Mitch Harrison from Avon, Colorado. Zayas Transport from Miami, Florida. Zoran from Macedonia. Holy cow. There you go. Macedonia in the house. Kevin from Linden, New Jersey. John Paul Wenzel from Woodstock, New York. Tatiana from Cleveland, Ohio. Next Links from Valley Stream, New York. Kevin's a first timer. Odie's a first timer. Awesome. Michael Kahn from Springfield, Missouri. Atif from Dallas. Izzy and Juju from, first live stream for them. Awesome. Congrats. Welcome. Andy from Fontana, California. Kyler, welcome to your first live stream. Blessed Logistics from Hagerstown, Maryland. Whew, we got people from all over. Simply Erica from Birmingham, Alabama, first timer. Just Yes from Miami. Carlington Vincent Mayo from Africa, South Africa. Oh my gosh. That's amazing. Sean Cavell from Harker Heights, Texas. Man, we got people coming in from all over the place. And thank you for joining me early. Because you joined me early, we're going to be doing a quick giveaway. I'm going to be giving away a Freightpreneur t-shirt. And I'm going to hold tight on that. I'm going to give you some instructions on how to qualify. I'm going to be giving away one of these shirts. And then we're going to do the live training. And today we're going to talk about 6 core skills to become a successful freight broker. And then we're going to do live Q&A at the end. All right. So let's jump into the giveaway real quick. So anybody who's interested in the Freightpreneur t-shirt, it says, someone who solves problems you don't know you have in ways you can't understand. Okay, that's the very famous, infamous Freightpreneur t-shirt. So here's all you got to do. Listen carefully. Here's all you have to do in order to qualify for the Freightpreneur t-shirt giveaway. I want you to pull out your cell phone. I don't care if you're on Apple or Android or what you're on. And I want you to pull up either your Apple Podcast app or Spotify or wherever you listen to music or podcasts, because most places where you listen to music or music, you can also listen to podcasts. If you're on an Apple phone, pull up the Apple Podcast. If you're on Android, pull up your Spotify. And I want you to go in and I want you to search for Freight Broker Bootcamp as the podcast. You'll see the Freight Broker Bootcamp audio experience. Again, you'll see my bald, shiny head on the logo. That'll make it stand out a little bit more. I want you to go in there and I want you to follow, subscribe. It depends on what they call it. Subscribe to the podcast. It's absolutely free. And then rate and review. Okay. Whether you're on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, or whatever app you're using, I want you to go in and subscribe, rate, and review. And then come back into the comments in this stream and then let me know that you subscribed, rated, reviewed on whatever platform. Spotify, Apple, Google, or other. But you got to let me know. Subscribe, rated, reviewed on Apple. Subscribe, rated, reviewed on Spotify. Subscribe, rated, review on whatever platform. And then that's going to qualify you for the free giveaway. Okay. And I'm going to randomly pick one winner. Now, in order to qualify for the shirt, I do have to let you know, you have to be in the United States because I'm not going to ship this overseas. I'm sorry for whoever's joining me in Macedonia or Africa, but I'm not going to ship a $25 shirt overseas. So I do other giveaways sometimes. Sometimes I'll give away cash or other things that I can get you without having a lot of logistical issues and cost. So so this is going to be US only for this t-shirt. So I'm going to randomly pick one person. All you got to do is subscribe, rate, and review to the Freight Broker Bootcamp audio experience podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you listen to your podcasts. All right. So do that now and then come back into the comments and let me know. And then I'm going to randomly pick one winner before we actually start the training, which is going to start at or about noon in about 8 minutes. Okay. So we don't have very much time to do the giveaway. So grab your phone, pull up your favorite podcast or music app, search for Freight Broker Bootcamp podcast, subscribe, rate, and review. Come back in to the comments. Let me know you did that. We got a bunch of people. BJ Green Logistics. You can't tell me done. Done doesn't work for me. You have to say, I need very specific. Subscribed, rated, reviewed on Apple. Subscribed, rated, reviewed on Spotify. Whatever the case may be. Done doesn't work. The only way you're going to get picked is if you follow those instructions. And again, this is an honor system. But after this, if I pick a winner, then I ask you to show proof and you don't have it, well, then that's obviously going to say a lot about you. So this is an honor system. It'll take you less than 60 seconds to go in and find the podcast, subscribe, rate, and review it, and then come back in. And again, just so you guys know, it's absolutely free, the podcast. I think we've got close to 100 episodes on there now. They're all free. It's the best of the best audio format training, meaning it's audio. You can listen to it when you're walking the dog, when you're driving, when you're working out, whatever the case may be. I listen to a lot of podcasts when I drive. I listen to a lot of podcasts when I work out. I'm on a treadmill or even walking my dog. So you guys can check it out. It's absolutely free. Again, we were very fortunate. We've been ranked in the top 100 out of all entrepreneur podcasts on Apple. Out of all the niches, out of all the entrepreneur podcasts, we've been ranked in the top 100. So I'm very blessed, very thankful to everybody who's made that happen. The great reviews and everybody who's downloading all the episodes and is subscribed. Thank you so much. And again, that's all you got to do in order to qualify. All right. So we got 1 minute and then we're going to do about 1 minute and then we're going to do the giveaway and then we're going to jump into the training at about noon. And then after that, we're going to do the live Q&A. Okay. So I do Q&A at the end for anybody who sticks around to the end. We will do live Q&A. All right. So let me grab a quick drink while the last few people are getting subscribed, checking out the podcast. And then we're going to get this ball rolling. Today is kind of a cool training because I don't think I've ever in one video ever actually covered these 6 skills. I've done a lot of individual trainings about probably all of these skills at one time or another. But today, I boxed it all up into one neat little package so that you guys could really understand, especially if you're new and you're just discovering me now and you're interested in becoming a freight broker or learning more about it, or if you're just getting started, or maybe you've already gotten started and you're just kind of fumbling along a little bit and you need a little bit of help, you need a little bit more of a system, you need to kind of fill in the lines and the cracks a little bit. That's what I'm here for. Okay. And for those of you that don't know, besides owning my own freight brokerage and doing over $200 million in sales as a freight broker before I sold that company in 2016, I also am the owner of freightbrokerbootcamp.com. We are the most cost-effective and comprehensive online freight broker and freight agent training program available. We've trained over 10,000 students, been in business over a decade, and we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money back guarantee. If you're not happy for any reason, we will definitely send your money back. We don't want you to be a part of the program if you're not 100% satisfied. Again, we trained over 10,000 students and we offer a 60-day, 100% money back guarantee. So if you're curious about becoming a freight broker, freight agent, it's a great way to get started. It's my startup training. It teaches you all the fundamentals and all the steps and all the education and fills in all those cracks that you need in order to get that ball rolling and start getting your brokerage or freight agency set up. And then start getting your first customers and start making some positive cash flow. So if you're interested in that, make sure you check it out at freightbrokerbootcamp.com. All right, cool. So let's do the giveaway. All right, so I have a very non-scientific way of doing this. I pull the comments up to where the reviews are on my system here. I magically close my eyes. I randomly scroll down through. I point to one of the comments and I pick the winner, and it's Eclectic Rose. Eclectic Rose, subscribed, rated, and reviewed on Amazon Music. Awesome. I'll be honest with you. I didn't even know we were on Amazon Music, but it appears we are. So Eclectic Rose is the winner of the Freightpreneur t-shirt. Someone who solves problems you don't know you have in ways you can't understand. All right. So congratulations, Eclectic Rose. Here's all you have to do to claim your prize. Listen carefully. Go to my Freight Broker Bootcamp Facebook page. Go to the page, like the page, and then message me. You have to message me your full name, your mailing address, and your size. Okay. This is a large, they're unisex sizing. They're very true to size. So if you need a small, medium, large, extra large, whatever you need, we'll send that out to you. But you got to make sure you let me know that you won the podcast subscribe t-shirt giveaway. So I need your name, your address, your your size, and that you won the podcast subscribe t-shirt giveaway. Okay. If you let me know that, then you're going to get a shirt it'll get processed within 1 to 2 weeks. But I need you to do that today. Okay. Because sometimes you guys forget about it. Then you come back months later and I can't track down or remember if you won or not. So you got to do that today. Go to the Facebook page, like the page, message me all that information, and then I'll make sure we process that and you'll get your shirt. So congratulations, Eclectic Rose, and everybody who joined along, everybody who subscribed, everybody who rated, reviewed. Thank you so much. I am truly humbled that you guys are willing to spend a small part of your day here listening to me ramble about these different topics. Sometimes I just have to get these topics out of my head because I know that after talking to literally hundreds and thousands of you via email or phone call or in different trainings that I've done or in social media, I know that you guys are starving for the correct information, right? There's a lot of bad information out there online about everything. I don't care if you're talking about finances. I don't care if you're talking about politics. I don't care if you're talking about how to learn to do anything. Particularly, what I've noticed is there's a lot of bad information out there about how to become a successful freight broker. There's a lot of charlatans out there trying to sell their wares who have never actually done or built a real successful business. And you just have to be careful. So I can tell you that, again, as a freight broker, I've done over $200 million in sales. I've also built 4 multi-million-dollar companies in 4 different industries. So I'm an entrepreneur through and through. Started my first business back in 1994. Okay. So that's over 27 years ago. So that's part of the reason why I love doing these videos. So we've got the winner and we're going to be starting the training in about a minute or so. Again, if you didn't hit me up in the comments with the city and state you're logging in from, I'll try to give you a shout out. And then the process is going to be very simple. We're going to do the training, then we're going to do live Q&A. And congratulations, welcome, Juanita Goddard from Atlanta. I have one also, and people ask, where can they buy one? I know, I don't sell those. Welcome, Maisha from Virginia. Welcome, Prince from Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome, Black Pilled from Las Vegas, Nevada. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We've got people from all over the place. I love it. Welcome, Tej Sethi from Toronto, Canada. Thank you, Tej. Tej was a guest on my live once because of all the success he's had as a new broker based out of Canada. Remember, he actually owned a carrier company and then converted full over into brokerage because it was much more profitable for him. Izzy and Juju, you can't buy the shirt. I don't sell it. It's just something I've created for giveaways. By this time, I probably could have sold 1,000 shirts and paid, half my college tuition for my daughter that's going to be going to school here in the next couple of years, but I just don't sell them. I don't know. Call me lazy. All right. So here we go, guys. We're going to jump into the training in just a minute here. But again, today we're going to go over six core skills to become a successful freight broker in 2022 and beyond. All right. That's what we're going to be focused on today. And again, I've got a bunch of notes to go over, and I'm excited that you guys are here. Again, I do these lives every Monday. I apologize. Normally I'm able to stream this on Facebook, but for whatever reason, there was a tech issue. The Facebook page and the Facebook group won't allow me to stream it today. So you're only able to get it on LinkedIn or YouTube, but that's all right. You guys are here. We got almost 100 people live at this point. So that's awesome. All right, so let's jump into the training, guys. No time like the present. We're going to do the training, then we're going to do live Q&A. So stick around to the end if you have questions. Anything about how to become a freight broker, how to start as a freight broker sales, how to get customers, rating, any of that, okay, or anything that we talk about today, all right? So today, I'm going to share with you 6 core skills to become a successful freight broker. Now, there are a lot of skills that you need to develop as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. So this is not an exhaustive list. I picked what I consider to be the top 6 skills that are going to pay the bills, right? That are going to allow you to grow a successful freight brokerage. All right. So let's start at the top. These are in no discernible order. And they're all very, very important that you learn and understand those skills. And there's no place to start, but with my favorite skill, number 1, which is sales. You need to learn the fundamental skills of how to sell. Now, there's a lot of components to that. Communications, there's a lot, verbal and written communications. There's learning how to get people's attention. There's learning how to overcome objections. And this all comes down into the sales bucket. But it's a very important skill because not only will you be selling to acquire shippers, but you will also be selling to acquire carriers that are going to build your network. Sales is that skill that once you learn that skill, I've said this for over 20 years now, once you learn the skill of selling, you can go anywhere in the world, in any industry, and you can make 6 or 7 figures. And that holds true in the freight brokerage or the freight agency business as well. So the number 1 skill that you need to learn is sales. All right. Number 2 is rating. You need to learn how to do rating and provide accurate and effective freight quotes for your prospects and for your customers. Now, rating is one of those skills that's based upon in freight brokerage is based upon understanding the supply and demand of trucks to loads, right? So what is the ratio of trucks to loads in any given market, in any given lane, in any given situation? Now, that's basic economics 101. If there's a lot of trucks and not a lot of freight, all right, then that's going to be very competitive for that freight and it's going to drive rates down. If there's a lot of loads and not enough trucks, then there's going to be more competition and there's going to be the rates are going to go up. So it's basic 101, but there's some fundamentals you need to understand on how to determine what it's going to cost you as a freight broker to move that load from point A to point B so you can add your markup. So there's some basic frameworks. There's some tools like load boards, obviously. There's different rating tools, but there's really no tool that's better than just having a real conversation with a carrier that runs that lane to understand what the spot market rate is for that day, for that week, for that time period. Okay. So rating is one of those skills that's really important. It's very easy to provide rates that are the most expensive. It's very easy to be the cheapest or the most expensive. The hard part is finding the sweet spot, where you're actually able to make a margin and provide a high level service. So finding that sweet spot where you can make 10 or 15 or 20% margin and still provide good value to the shipper and to the carrier, right? So that's the magic, right? So skill number 2 is effective rating. Skill number 3 is dispatching. Now, dispatching is there are best practices to dispatching. What I mean by dispatching is after you've covered the load, at some point, the driver is going to have to go into that pickup location and pick up the load, transport the load, and then deliver the load. This is where the service is actually provided. You as the broker don't provide this service. You outsource it to a carrier that you set up in your network, and you guys put a broker carrier agreement together. And then from there, on the day of pickup, you're going to dispatch the driver into the pickup location. Now, the best practice is I could do an entire training on just dispatching, which I probably should do, or maybe I've already done it and I just don't remember. But yeah, dispatching has a process, right? You need to make sure that the driver's already empty. You need to make sure he has the right hours of service. You need to make sure he's going to be able to make the pickup time, right? And then once he does pick up, you need to make sure that he picked up the right product. Did they load the right product? Does he have the correct number of hours or times or hours of service in order to get to the delivery location? Right. Then you're going to be doing, after you dispatch them, you're going to be doing daily check calls with that driver to make sure that they're on schedule, right? That they're still going to be able to deliver it on time. And then after the delivery, you're going to want to know that the product delivered on time in good condition with no problems. There's no claims, no exceptions, no marks on the bill, other than the fact that the receiver signed the bill clean. So dispatching in itself is a very important part, particularly when it comes to delivering a high level of service, right? So that's number 3 is dispatching. Number 4, financial management. Now, this is the part that I hate. This is the part that I hated as a broker. I didn't like counting the beans. I don't like invoicing. I don't like paying carriers. I mean, I don't mind paying carriers. I just don't like writing checks or processing ACHs or stuff like that. So the financial management part is a really important management. I was fortunate because I had a partner who did that. I had somebody dedicated who handled the financial management, but it is a very important skill that you need to have in your arsenal. Now, you either need to have that skill yourself or you need to hire somebody to do that. Now, most startup brokers use factoring companies, right? OPM, other people's money to cash flow their business. So if you have a factoring company, they will do a lot of that for you, but you will still need to be able to do deposits. You will still need to have to pay vendors. You will still need to be able to have a system to make sure that you're paying taxes and that your books are in good order. So basic financial management skills is a skill that you absolutely have to have as any entrepreneur. All right. So that's number 4, right? Number 5, negotiations. Now, negotiations is something that you're going to do not only with shippers, but also with carriers. You're going to have to negotiate terms. You're going to have to negotiate rates. You're going to have to negotiate nuances associated with the service that you're providing. And so negotiating is a skill that you'll need to learn. Now, it's really not that hard, to be extremely honest with you. There's a couple things you need to do. Number 1, you need to listen, right? You need to listen carefully, because if you listen, the other person on the other end will tell you what they need and how to solve that problem. The other thing is you really need to think win-win, because if I win the negotiation, it means somebody else lost on the other side. And if they feel like they lost, at that point, it's going to create friction in that transaction, friction in that relationship. Nobody wants to lose, right? So if you focus on a win-win negotiation strategy, a win-win negotiating style, you'll be surprised at the types of relationships you can develop, long-term relationships you can develop, not only with shippers, but also with carriers. If you take that approach, your business will absolutely thrive. But if you're the type of person who always has to win, right, the negotiation, you're probably going to struggle in business, right? Hard-nosed negotiators are usually not very well liked, and they really have a problem with building long-term business relationships. So win-win negotiations is an important one, and that was number 5. And number 6 should go without saying, but time management. Now, time management is very broad, right? But what you have to understand is you need to understand how to schedule and prioritize your daily, weekly, monthly activities, right, to effectively achieve your goals. So whatever your goals are, you need to be able to work those backwards and prioritize and schedule your daily activities, right? When am I going to be doing new customer outreach or prospecting for new shippers? When am I going to be doing rate quotes? When am I going to be following up with my other prospects? When am I going to be calling my customers? When am I going to be doing my dispatching or my check calls? When am I going to be doing invoicing and paying carriers? When am I going to be doing the core fundamentals of the freight brokerage? Because again, there's a lot of balls to juggle, but it's really not that challenging once you learn the basic fundamentals of time management. It really comes down, it's really not time management as much as it is priority management. What is the number 1, number 2, number 3 priority in any given day, right? That's what you need to look at. There are going to be days when you can spend 90% of your time selling, but there's also going to be days when you're going to have to spend 80 or 90% of your time servicing, right, the customers by doing all the, providing all the providing quotes and dispatching and doing follow-up and invoicing. So time management, priority management is number 6. All right. So I'm going to run back through those really quick. Number 1 is sales. Number 2 is rating. Number 3 is dispatch. Number 4 is financial management. Number 5 is negotiations, win-win negotiations. And number 6 is time/priority management. So those are the 6 core skills to become a successful freight broker. Now, there's a lot that go into those skills, and it does take time. And here's the thing you need to understand. You're not going to be good at all of these when you first start, nor do you need to be in order to start a successful freight brokerage. But your goal should be to acquire these skills, to be proficient in these skills, and or to hire somebody in that area so that they can handle those core competencies and core skills to help your business thrive. So I hope that helps. If you guys enjoyed this, give me a quick rating from 1 to 10. 1 meaning, hey, Dennis, this sucked. You're terrible. I don't want to ever watch your video again. 10 meaning, hey, I loved it. It was perfect. Please give me more videos. Hit me up in the comments with a 1 to 10 rating. Truly appreciate it. If you're curious about becoming a freight broker or a freight agent, check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. I've trained over 10,000 students, been in business over a decade, and we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. Again, I do these live trainings every week. We've trained over 10,000 students. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We do these weekly live trainings every Monday at noon. I want to thank you so much for joining me. Again, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you like, comment, and share this video, and I'll be back Monday with another Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. All right, cool. So stick with me if you want to hang around for the Q&A, because I'm going to be doing a Q&A here in just a minute. I hope you guys enjoyed this because, again, these are, it's very easy to get fixated on one area when you're new to this freight brokering game, right? You're focused in on, hey, what software am I going to use? Or hey, what load boards am I going to use? Or should I be calling carriers or should I be calling shippers? Or, hey, I really need to learn how to do really need to create a cold calling script, or I really need to be able to create a cold email script. I mean, there's a lot of things to running a successful business. But I put these 6 core skills. If you are able to either develop these skills or hire somebody who already has these skills in these different areas, your business is set up to thrive in 2022 and beyond, because these are core fundamental skills that you are going to need. I've never seen a successful freight broker that didn't have these skills and or have somebody on their team that had these skills. Again, I told you myself, I was honest with you. The financial management side of the business world, I hate it. I've always had a CFO or a controller or a financial manager that managed all that for me. I trusted them emphatically, and they did all the financial management. That was their background. I had zero interest in counting the beans or making payments or doing any of that stuff, right? So I always had somebody that did that for me. So I had to pay to get that done because it wasn't something I was good at nor something I enjoyed. But on the other side of the coin, I've always been, since starting my freight brokerage, I've always been very good at sales. So I lead the sales effort and the sales management effort, right? So it starts with me. I learned how to do rating early in the business, so I developed a system around that. I've had to negotiate for my life as an entrepreneur over the last 20 plus years. So learning the fundamentals of negotiating is a part of what I do. Time management is something everybody struggles with, right? Everybody struggles with time management in your personal life, in your business life. Trust me, time management. I mean, just trying to get the things done. I have a list as long as my arm just to try to get the things done, the honeydews around my own house and the property, my hunting property, and the different things, the different stuff that I have to do, probably much like you, but time and priority management. So there's a lot of things, but what I want you to understand is I don't want you to get overwhelmed. Don't get overwhelmed, because here's the good part. Number one, you found me, and I'm pretty good at almost all of these things, right? And I teach people how to do these things as a part of my course, as a part of these ongoing trainings. Perfect example. I'm in the middle. A few weeks ago, I launched my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. Now, my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator is where that's my advanced freight broker sales training program, where I take that piece of my brain all about how to get customers and how to create a duplicatable, on-demand customer generating machine, right? And so I launched that system, Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. It's sold out right now, so you can't enroll. It's okay. You can't even get enrolled right now, even if you had it. But if you want to get on the wait list for that, for the next cohort, for the next time I release that, it probably won't be for a few months. But if you want to get on the list for the next Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, just check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. Okay. That's where you want to go to get on the wait list for that skill, because that's the skill that most people struggle with, which is sales. And that's why I put this whole separate course together. Again, it's not a free course. It's a paid program. But again, you'll get a 10 or 20 or 50x ROI. Many of my students have went on after taking those programs and learning the sales strategies and tactics and systems that I have went on and built 7 and even 8-figure freight brokerages. So, all right. So get signed up for that. And here's what we're going to do. Let's jump into the Q&A. So I'm sure you guys got a bunch of questions. So here's the thing. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to get to all your questions. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to get to everybody's questions today. It's 12:18. I'm going to set a timer for 12:45. Siri, set a timer for 12:45 p.m. At 12:45, when the alarm goes off, I got to go. I've got a contractor here in my garage working on a project right now, and I really need to get with him in order to make sure that gets done today. And so I'm time and priority, right? I'm setting my priorities. I'm managing my time. I'm doing this effectively. It's part of the skills you'll have to learn. And so here's what we're going to do. Let's jump into the Q&A. We have till about 12:45. Hit me up in the questions. Hit me in the comments with your questions, and I will do my absolute best to try to answer those questions. All right. Okay, so here's a question from Brandon Paez. How do you manage LinkedIn prospecting and calling? Are you calling LinkedIn connections right after they connect with you? Okay, so Brandon, here's the thing about LinkedIn. LinkedIn and social selling is different than cold calling. Okay. What you have to understand about LinkedIn and social selling is that it's not speed dating. Okay. LinkedIn is not Tinder, right? You're not swiping right, hitting a message and trying to DM somebody and pitch them into going out on a date with you. That's not how this works. LinkedIn, you have to be willing to take your time. You have to slow down the process. So yes, you need the fundamentals of LinkedIn is you need to find your target market, which is pretty easy. Finding shipping managers in a specific niche, that's pretty easy on LinkedIn with their searchability. You need to connect with them. So you need to thoughtfully figure out a way to send a custom connection request that's going to give you a high level of acceptance where they accept you into your network, which also means you need to learn how to optimize your profile in order to make a good first impression. Otherwise, they're not going to connect with you. And then from there, you need to learn how to engage them. You need to learn how to create some sort of engagement, whether that be through content or whether that be through some sort of messaging sequence that will get them engaged and create a dialogue. From there, you can then pivot that conversation offline into a phone call or a face-to-face meeting. We had a past student of my Freight Broker Bootcamp and my No Cold Calling course, which is a completely separate course that I've had for several years. And his name's Mike Burke. I just interviewed him within the last month. He came and did from startup. During his first year, he did $1.2 million in sales without making one cold call. Okay, so you could check that out on my YouTube channel. I think it's without not cold calling or Mike Burke, or it's probably a Freight Broker Success interview somewhere on my YouTube channel. But yeah, he didn't make a cold call. And the way he did it is he used LinkedIn and then engaged there. If they didn't engage there, then he moved over into email. And then from there, he went on to talk, have a dialogue in email or LinkedIn. And if he didn't have a dialogue, then he had a process for contacting them, what we refer to as more of a warm call versus a cold call. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but that's the basic framework. So I hope that helps, Brandon. Okay, Terry Wilkerson asked, do we get a certificate after completion? Yes, if you would like a certificate of completion from Freight Broker Bootcamp or the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, depending on which program you're a part of, just email us after you've completed the program and we will provide you a digital certificate of completion. It's a digital format. We're not going to mail you out a cert. It's a digital format. You can print it, you can frame it, you can do whatever you want with it. Okay, so yeah, we can do that, but you will need to email us about the certificate of completion once you're complete. Bob, I did just explain the customer acquisition process on LinkedIn. So I gave you a high level overview of what that looked like just moments ago. So I hope that helps. Okay, so question from Next Links. Do you need mobility auto, workers' compensation, and contingent cargo insurance as a broker? No, you don't. You don't need general liability. You don't need contingent cargo, and you don't need workers' comp. You do not need those three insurances in order to legally become a freight broker. Now, you may have state guidelines or state rules that are specific to your state that require some of those things, but the FMCSA does not require you to have cargo or any form of insurance. You need a freight broker bond. You need to submit your application. You need a BOC3. You need to have your UCR, which is your Unified Carrier Registration. But really, that's all you need. Very, very simple. Now, do some shippers require you to carry some form of insurance? Some of them do, but most of them do not. Now, if you go after large companies like US Steel or Nestle Waters or Procter & Gamble or any large companies, Fortune 1000 brands, they're probably going to require you to have some form of insurance. But if you focus on small to medium-sized companies, many of them will not. Now, you might start without having some sort of insurance because you don't have the cash flow to do it. And then eventually, a shipper or prospect is going to say, hey, listen, if you had insurance, I'd bring you on as a vendor. And at that point, you need to weigh the risk versus reward, the cost versus return on investment. If you have a shipper who's willing to give you, $5,000 a year worth of profit based on the lanes that he's willing to work with you on, and the insurance is only going to cost you $1,000 or $2,000 a year, that's probably a good return on investment, because the insurance is then going to leverage you to be able to enhance your opportunity to open up other doors. But it is not a requirement and is not absolutely necessary. Some people choose to do that. If you have extra cash laying around and you want to get the insurance, go ahead. I didn't have contingent cargo when I first started. We probably didn't get contingent cargo until after we'd been around for several months. We had been moving freight for months before we ever got contingent cargo. So I'm big on trying to keep your overhead low in an effort to try to make sure that your business cash flows. All right. So I hope that helps. James, be more specific. You're saying what is best for face-to-face sales? I don't understand what you mean by what is best. Help me to understand. What do you mean? What is best? Help me be more specific of what you're looking for. Okay, so here's a question from Jorge. I'm a local carrier with no MC number, but want to open a brokerage department. Is it recommended to create a different company or use the same one? I never had a carrier business. I never owned a carrier or an asset-based company, but I've had many, many students who started out with trucking with their asset-based authority, whether that be, intrastate or interstate. Some had MCs, some didn't, but they wanted to open a brokerage. Most of them found that setting up a separate LLC or a separate organization with a similar name made the most sense. Primarily because, number one, it's separated liability, because if you have two different LLCs, then now if there's an issue with your carrier company where they get sued, your brokerage is still separate, or vice versa, right? So you're limiting your liability to either entity. Number two, I've also heard that some carriers, some insurance companies will jack up your rates on your asset-based side if they also know you brokerage through the same entity. So setting up those separate LLCs is great. And if you should have a very similar name. So if you're ABC Trucking, then you might want to be ABC Trucking and Logistics. Okay. Something along those lines, so that when you need to get set up with either or with a shipper, it's very seamless and it doesn't seem as if it's a totally different entity, even though, your carrier business might have a separate MC or a DOT versus your brokerage company. So I hope that helps, Jorge. Would you recommend customizing your broker, shipper, contract, or can you use a generic online template? I would definitely suggest customizing it. Okay. I would customize it to your specific needs. Most of the contracts out there are templatized, but the people that are writing them are probably not lawyers. And you definitely would want to customize and have that, maybe show it to somebody who has some legal experience or contract experience or a lawyer of some sort, where you can customize it specific to meet your goals and the state that you're in. Okay. Black Pilled. Can you elaborate on brokering RGN loads? Well, RGN loads is a removable gooseneck, right? It's just a type of equipment. So there are some types of products. There's some types of things that need to be shipped on a removable gooseneck, right? So it is a very specific piece of equipment, usually used for some sort of heavy haul or open deck hauling. So it's not going to be bottled water. It's not going to be food. It's going to typically be some sort of heavy equipment or open deck requirement. So, the brokering of that is no different than brokering any other load. The only difference is the nuance of the type of freight that's going to go on that type of equipment. Every type of equipment has types of freight that go on it, right? Flatbeds are, an RGN is kind of a type of flatbed. So it's an open deck versus a van or a refrigerator, which is a box, right? Which is an enclosed box. A reefer is insulated with a refrigerator unit, and a van is no insulation, right? And just kind of like a wood floor or maybe a metal floor, but ultimately it's not insulated. So yeah, every type of equipment has its own type of freight that it was designed to handle. So I hope that helps. But brokering is the same process. Okay, so here's a question from Prince. Should I, with no experience, start as an agent or a broker, and what are the pros and cons? I tell everybody, if you have no experience in the industry at all, the safest and fastest way to get started is to start as a freight agent. Why? Because making money and starting a freight agency is a lot easier than making money and starting a freight brokerage. Starting a freight agency is a lot less expensive with a lot less risk. You can literally start a freight agency with hundreds of dollars, whereas if you're going to become a freight broker, you're going to need thousands of dollars because of the bond and because of the application and because of all the other things you're going to have to set up, right? So the cost is much lower for a freight agency. The risk is a lot lower. And the fact is, if you can't make money as a freight agent, you're definitely not going to make money as a freight broker. Okay? So you can always start as a freight agent if you have no experience. And then from there, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, when your business is doing really well, you've got customers, you've got systems in place, you're generating profit, you've got cash flow, you're making a good living, and you decide you want to expand and go from agent into brokerage, you can always set up your own brokerage then, right? You're not prevented from doing that as long as you don't sign a non-compete as an agent, which I would highly recommend that you never do. Okay? So I hope that helps, Prince. Adrian, you'll have to have a physical address. You'll have to have a physical address for your freight broker application. But you could have all of your freight invoices and all of your payments mailed to a P.O. box if you choose. But you will have to disclose your physical address as a part of the application. You can't put a P.O. box on the application for your freight brokerage. Okay, so this question, any proposal templates on FBBC? All right, so listen, I'm just going to be totally upfront with you. There are no proposals in freight brokerage, meaning you're not going to go out and put this whole big, long song and dance presentation together like you're selling some sort of a very complicated IT solution, okay? The freight proposal is really this. You are going to provide a freight quote based upon the specific needs of that customer. So if that customer says that they need to move van loads from Buffalo, New York to Atlanta, Georgia, they're going to ask you for a quote. You're going to provide them a freight quote, which is going to basically give them the cost. And then you're probably going to give them some sort of timeline for lead times. Maybe they need to give you 24, 48, 72 hours lead time. And that's really it. If you have some sort of fuel surcharge or if you have some sort of accessorial surcharge, you might include that as a part of the freight quote. But freight quotes are you need to make this less complicated. People ask me all the time, what type of proposal should I send to shippers? You're going to, you may send you're going to send a basic setup package, which might have a one-page, sales sheet that kind of talks a little bit about the company. It's going to have some information about your authority, about your bond, maybe some customer testimonials, some contact and billing information, where to remit payments to. And that's really it. If you have a shipper broker contract, or maybe you're going to use their shipper broker contract. So yeah, there really isn't a big proposal process. I remember I've sold, like, for example, when I sold custom software development, I used to have a software company in the late 90s during the .com era. And I was selling 5- and 6-figure custom software development projects. And those required proposals. We had to sit down and we had to put together an entire proposal based upon the specs of what they had designed. And it was very elaborate and it took an enormous amount of time. But in the freight industry, it really comes down to rate quotes. That's the crux and that's the bulk of your proposal, right? They're asking you to move from point A to point B. You're then giving them a price and some basic parameters on that level of service. So I hope that helps. Okay, so Jorge asks, will you recommend to get the surety bond with your own money or hire a company and pay a monthly or yearly? Okay, well, there's usually two ways. If you're going to get a freight broker bond, right, a freight broker surety bond, a $75,000 freight broker surety bond, which is the requirement by the FMCSA, it doesn't mean you need $75,000 to do that. A surety bond is kind of like an insurance policy. And some of those providers will require you to pay all that money up front. And some of them will break them down into monthly or quarterly payments. Now, if you do payments, it's typically going to cost you a little bit more than if you were to pay it all up front. Now, just know that freight broker surety bonds typically range the low to high. Most of them fall somewhere between $1,000 and $3,000 or $4,000 a year. $1,000 to $4,000 a year is your total cost for the bond. And that's determined heavily based upon your credit. So your personal credit. If you have a 700 or 800 credit score, you're going to get a very low bond cost, probably closer to $1,000 or $1,500. If you have very bad credit, it could be even more than $4,000, or they might not underwrite you at all. So your credit is going to be a big determining factor. Here's what I'm going to tell you. If you guys are looking for bonds, right? Here's what I'm going to suggest. We've partnered with one of the top freight broker surety bond companies in the industry. If you want to check out a special deal that we put together with them only for freight broker students in our freight broker community, go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/bond. Now, if you submit the application, not an application, it's an inquiry, right? They will then get back to you with a quote, but you do need to submit that, right? If you call them up on the phone, and you don't submit it through this application, you could be waiting in line for quite a while, right? Because they get a lot of inquiries. So my suggestion to you is if you let them know that you're with Freight Broker Bootcamp and you do it through that form, you are then going to be able to start communicating with them right away. And they're going to give you a special deal, right? Because we've been working with them. They're a preferred partner of ours, right? So all I can tell you is check if you're curious about getting more information or some pricing on Freight Broker Bond, whether you're a startup or maybe you're someone who's already got a bond and your annual renewal is coming up and you want to check out prices, check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com/bond. All right. Okay, so we got a couple more questions. Okay, so here's a question, good question from Karina. How many hours does your training course typically take to complete? All right, so when I get this question, I get it a lot, and it can vary because people's schedules and their ability to absorb information can vary. So here's what I tell people. Most people are able to complete the training in 4 to 8 hours of actual training, right? Of actual consuming the content. Articles, videos, documents, everything in between, right? So 4 to 8 hours, typically over a 2 to 4 week period of time. That's the data that we've been able to collect on our end. So 4 to 8 hours over a 2 to 4 week period of time. Now, I've had some people who have bought the training and had it done by the next day, but they binged it, meaning they went through it. They spent the next 5, 6, 7, 8 hours going through the training. And then, I'm not sure how much they retained, but ultimately they went through the training one time. But most people are going to do it an hour here, an hour there. So I say 48 hours over a 2 to 4 week period of time. I hope that helps, Karina. Plus, we offer dedicated online support. If you have questions throughout the training, you can just email us if you're already a paid member, and we'll answer all those questions for you. Okay, Briar Creek Cottage. How do you get experience as a freight agent when all brokerages want someone with over 10K in profit per month and their own book of biz? I have zero experience and want to get started as an agent. Okay. Well, Briar, I don't take this the wrong way, but you're wrong. You're saying that all brokerages want, you to have a book of business and $10,000 in profit. And that's not true at all. Now, if you go call all the largest brokerages that offer agent programs, then those companies, like my old company, LDI, they're not going to hire you if you don't have experience. They don't need to. They've already built a product that attracts and is designed for experienced agents. So what you need to do is you need to focus on small to medium-sized companies that are willing to work with a new agent because they're looking to grow rapidly, and they don't have a huge program. They're looking just to get started, and they've got some of the fundamentals. So here's what I can tell you. If you want to check out some of we created, let me see, where is it? Jobs. Hold on, let me find it. I'm trying to find the link here. Here it is. Okay. If you want to, last year, about a year ago, maybe a little longer, I launched the only freight broker and freight agent job board. If you want to hire freight brokers or freight agents, you can place a job ad there for free. If you are looking for a freight agent or freight broker job, you can go there and apply for free. You just go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/jobs. It cost me a fortune to put this thing together, but I launched it, and we've had a lot of students that have hired agents successfully, and a lot of students that have gotten hired as agents successfully. Now, some of the companies on that board may require experience. Most of them do not. Most of them do not require a book of business. So go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/jobs, and you can apply there. But my suggestion to you is to focus on small to medium-sized companies and work your way outwards locally, right? If you don't find anything on that job board, then find local companies in your area, local brokerages in your area that are smaller, and then focus on them as your starting point. But focus on companies that are doing $1 million to $5 million to $10 million in sales that have been in business for 1, 3, 5 years versus large companies like C.H. Robinson or TQL or LDI or those sorts of companies, because those companies are not going to, number one, most of them don't have agent programs. And number two, the larger companies are not going to hire you unless you have a book of business. So I hope that helps. All right. Yes. So Aaron asks, can we have two MC numbers, one for carrier authority and the second for brokerage? Yes, you'll have two separate authorities for your asset and your brokerage, your trucking and your brokerage side. I suggest you apply for them separately under separate LLCs or separate corporations. And I explained that earlier. If you want to go back and replay the Q&A, you'll hear that answer. Why I suggest that. Somebody asked it. Perfect example. Papa Bear in a chair said he got on with SPI with zero book of business. So people will hire you, but you will find more success if you focus on smaller companies as a new agent with no experience. And then from there, once you build a book of business, you could either decide to go out and get your own freight brokerage, or you could go to a larger company if it makes sense, if it fits your needs more. Question from Ram Fam Logistics. How can I find a carrier to pick up in docks dredge freight for a shipper? Dredge freight, I'll be honest with you, I have no clue. That's a very unique niche. My suggestion would be try to identify that type of equipment on a load board. If it's not available there, then you're going to try to do a search locally based upon the geography of the type of equipment that you need in order for them to pick up. And I don't have a whole lot other than that. That's a very niche kind of service. So you're going to have to do a little bit of searching. The cool part about that is while there may not be a ton of carriers, you also are not going to have a ton of competition. Okay. So There's pros and cons there. Terry Wilkerson asks, could you get loads from like Amazon or Walmart, or is it a special load? Yeah, you could. Amazon outsources as well as Walmart. They both outsource. Yes, they outsource. So they do have asset-based companies they work with, and they also have brokers that they work with. So yeah, you absolutely could do that. Now that's a large company, and they're probably going to have a very, very extensive vetting and onboarding process, assuming that they bring you on. So, you're going to have to be patient. You're probably going to have to dot a lot of I's and cross a lot of T's in order to make that happen. I would not suggest you do that as a startup. I would suggest you start with some smaller and medium-sized companies and then work your way up if you truly feel that you have what it takes to be a valuable vendor for them. All right, guys. So that's it. So my alarm just went out. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I really hope you enjoyed this. If you did, and you want me to come back every week and do these live trainings, I want you to hit the like button right now. And then I want you to click share. Share the stream. If you're on Facebook, then click share and then text it to 3 people that you know. If you're on LinkedIn, click share and share it in your feed, right? I know you're not on Facebook because the Facebook didn't work today, but like, comment, and share. That's how I know that I'm providing value. That's what motivates me to come back every single week. That's the price of admission. I didn't ask you for a credit card in order to get into this live training or this live Q&A. All I said was show up, engage, like, comment, and most importantly, share the stream. Let other people know about it. Congratulations to everybody who's enrolled in Freight Broker Bootcamp. If you're curious about becoming a freight broker and you need some help and you're looking for a coach and a mentor, I've put together an online program called freightbrokerbootcamp.com. We've trained over 10,000 students, been in business over a decade, and we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. I can't make it any easier than that. Check it out at freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Tune in next week for another Freight Broker Bootcamp live at noon. Have an awesome week. Have a profitable week, and we'll see you next week.